Welcome everyone to UK theme parks, and we have some massive news coming from Chessington World of Adventures. On the face of things, this may seem like an absolute shock, but deep down, quite potentially, it's been coming. And that is, of course, this ride on the screen, which you see now, Rameses Revenge, the park's massive thrill ride, one of only two 1.4 meter rides in the park. Sitting since 1995, this Huss top spin is kind of the pillar stone of Forbidden Kingdom, but the time has come and the proposed removal of this ride is now set, and it looks like this ride will go at the end of 2019. That's it. A couple of months notice. The park haven't actually announced it yet whether there'll be last rides, but this ride looks set to leave at the end of the year. And as you can see here, as we look at the plan of what's going on, you can see it's going to be replaced by a drop tower. That's it, a drop tower, very similar to Magma at Portland's Park. This drop tower, we'll get into more detail in a minute, will be housed in the same pit, but will be themed very, very differently. Now, as you can also see on the development plan here, two things to note. One, the flying jumbos will be moved, and they will be moved over to where the old carousel was. Old carousel was before the new one was put in, rather than the old carousel was when it was originally installed by the park. So that wonderful new truck area they've put in and spent all the money on, that will be gone, and the flying jumbos will be heading over to that site. Also, still worth noting on the plans that the major development area on the green, which they've had the beach and bounce on, is still proposed very, very soon. Whilst not part of this application, is still proposed very, very soon. So let's have a look at some of the detail in which the park have released in the planning application. Now, as we said, Rameses Revenge has been a staple at the park since 1995. And yes, it's had its controversial years, people getting stuck, people being cut out. It's been rethemed, and yes, it does look worse than it's ever looked. But it is the only remaining park model in the UK. And of course, it is a great ride. It is a thrilling ride. First one to introduce water. Very, very popular. 24 years later, you know, it's not as popular as it used to be, because Chessington is more of a family park, but in my view, it is crying out for thrill rides like this that can maybe be operated at less than 15 people, mind you, but crying out for it like this. But the family theme park market is where they're heading. And as you see on the screen now, this is the new proposed drop tower kind of site, if you will. So the drop tower will go right in the pit where it is now, and then the entrances will come out towards where the Faro Bazaar is, and that's right by kind of the restaurant area. So it will be a complete change around. Now, the theme of this is going to be a crocodile. That's right, you're going to drop into a crocodile's mouth, which sounds absolutely amazing, to be honest with you. It really does sound good. It's very difficult to kind of diss it, because it does sound good. So the proposed ride looks like it's going to be going in next year, and here is what the park have said. So, removal of the Rameses Revenge attraction and relocation of the existing Flying Jumbos ride for the new proposed drop tower, which you see on the screen now. With this, there will obviously be new walkways, new entrance portals, and lots of landscaping which needs to be done. Now, it does say here the Rameses Revenge ride will be demolished. So, contrary to opinion and many probably speculation coming, I wouldn't be expecting this old beast to rock up at Fort Park like once said. There's going to be an ice cream cart booth located in the entrance where the Rameses Revenge ride sits, so I imagine they're expecting it to have quite a long queue. The Flying Jumbos ride will be relocated to the old carousel site, and of course the entrance area will be up by the Pharaoh's Bazaar. Now, the proposed drop tower structure sits 22 meters above the ground level. Now, we will have a look at a bit more in detail of the ride in a minute, because it is actually a bit taller than that, but it does only hold 16 people. That's it, 16 people. It's not a very big one. It's going to be very, very popular at the park without a shadow of a doubt. It's going to be lifted to the top of the tower, and then it's going to free fall back down. So very expecting it to be like Magma at Portland's Park, expecting it to be very much the same. The ride will incorporate fountains that will spray water at riders as they go into the tunnel area at the bottom, where you can see on the screen now where it's blue. That will be kind of the crocodile's mouth, and you'll be sprayed water as you go down there. The mouth is wide open, that's the way it looks. It's a mythical crocodile the Sobek, apparently. So I'd be expecting this to still be themed potentially around the Forbidden Kingdom area, particularly with the flying jumbos moving. It looks like Zufari may become its own ride again in its own area. There'll be obviously sound, lighting, smoking effects, and various other bits accompanying that. So as we actually look through the plans here, it does say the replacement ride design will create an immersive, unique experience for riders. The materials and appearance have been deliberately chosen to present an aged and rustic mythical appearance. That's basically old and decrepit, much like Rameses Revenge is. However, it will fit the Egyptian themed area. So this is going to be part of Forbidden Kingdom. We're not going to be losing that, and any potential kind of re-themed Tomb Blaster down the line doesn't look likely with the money that's gone into that. So as you can see on the screen here, we've got some more images of it. The ride will be 25.5 meters from base to top, although there is a 2 meter kind of top area. So the drop is probably going to be around about 20 meters, 21 meters. Whether or not it's going to completely free fall, whether or not it's going to be kind of a staggered free fall, I mean, we're not expecting it to be a detonated style free fall. We are expecting it to be more of a family attraction, and it will probably hold a 1.1 height restriction, potentially a 1.2, but that hasn't actually been discussed in the planning or have been released by the park. But you know, it is replacing a 1.4 height restriction ride. It's definitely not going to be that, so there are going to be complete changes to it. The main tower element will be obviously steel. The crocodile head will be constructed of sprayed concrete to match the proposed theming. So it's going to look very similar, I'd imagine, to the front of the Tomb Blaster area. A new portal, a new entrance, which will incorporate the the ride's logo as well. So there's going to be a lot going on. This is a massive development for the park, absolutely huge. As you can see, it's going to take up quite a lot of space with the flying jumbos being relocated. The queue's going to stretch very slightly back. Actually, funnily enough, it's not going to stretch onto the flying jumbo site. It just seems like they're keeping that a little bit clearer than what it is at the moment. And the flying jumbos being moved over won't create too much of a problem, to be honest with you. You know, the carousel site is completely derelict down there. You know, I guess it's the Africa themed area, so they'll keep the flying jumbos as grey, but it will be a real shame. This ride is being bounced around. It's an absolute classic at the park, and it's going to look probably more out of place there than it does where it is now, trying to be themed to a kind of you know, an African style one. But it'll be very interesting to see what they do with that area over the next couple of years. But of course, this development is much more imminent, and it looks like it will take place in 2020. Although it doesn't actually say when it's going to take place, we would expect it to happen next year. And you know, the park have said this attraction is designed for families with older children, and you know, Rameses is the park's only inverting ride, so the park will go back to having a non-inverting ride, which is quite staggering really for, you know, Chessington World of Adventures. Certainly since this ride came in, it's been, as we said, a staple at the park, and it was joined by Samurai, and we had Rodeo, and it was a real highlight for the park. You know, 16 people to fit on this drop tower is going to cause a lot more queues than what it does now, but it will indeed refresh the Forbidden Kingdom area of the park, and it will, you know, upgrade and really enhance kind of the resort's offering, because that area of the park, even where Rameses is, doesn't look great. Can we see the water effects from the outside? Well, I really hope so, because one thing that Rameses does have for it is it is easily one of the most spectacle rides probably in the country. I don't say the park, it's definitely in the park, but probably in the country, where people gather around and they watch people being flipped upside down with kind of massive gasps in the air as they then get sprayed in the face with water. And that is going to be sorely missed at the park. And you know, it's another classic. We've just gone through our most missed rides, and you know, Rameses Revenge will probably join that list. I love the Huss top spin, and we just don't have any. I don't think we have any now in the country, which is a real shame. As we said, we're not expecting this to be eradicated. We are expecting it to be scrapped. So massive changes coming to Chessington World of Adventures, likely for 2020. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on these changes? Will you miss Rameses Revenge? Is it a good move by the park? What do you think of the drop tower coming in? Is it going to be successful? Is it the wrong choice? Should they have gone for two? Perhaps gone for two to increase capacity? Let us know in the comments below. This has been UK Theme Parks, and we will see you next time.